overrated. Now, overrated means rated or valued too highly. Now, this word is used to rate or value things when it comes to most things when we're being honest. Now, in terms of basketball, we use it when the community rates someone higher than they are supposed to be. This happens people not adding context to certain things or people just not remember things correctly. Now, this is a monthly series on my channel. Every month, I'll be deep diving into a player's career who I believe is overrated by the NBA community. Now, this is a slander video by any means. It's just me shedding light on things that people are just incorrect about. In the first edition of this series, we are deep diving into the career of Allen Iverson. Now, Allen Iverson is an amazing player. We'll get to that. But let's go ahead and start with this new series I got called Overrated. Now, Allen Iverson is a 6-foot shooting guard / point guard coming out of Georgetown. He was projected as the #1 pick in 1996 draft, and indeed he was. He was a combo guard. He was able to dribble effectively and get open. He was small, but that didn't matter to him as he was able to be an elite scorer. AI was drafted by the 76ers, and he came into a team that wasn't that good. Now I'm going to give a little background, but I'm really going to skip to 2000-2001 NBA season. AI at this point in the 2000-2001 NBA season was seen as one of the best scorers in the NBA. He showed himself as a volume scorer and was the sole reason his team was even putting up points. So in this season, AI had one of his best seasons, and he led the 76ers to a record of 56-26, and they awarded them with the first seed. Now this team is underrated defensively, but we'll get to that later. AI was given an MVP and rightfully so. But before I start slandering AI, I want to give him his flowers. To be able to score on this team and be 6 feet tall is exceptional, and it shows how good he is. But how good did he play in the playoffs? Now in the first round, the 76ers had to play an Indiana Pacers team that the year before they had just made the NBA Finals with the first seed in the Eastern Conference. But unfortunately, they lost to the Lakers. So they made a coaching change as Isaiah Thomas was now the new coach. But from there, the downfall continued. So the 76ers and Allen Iverson went into this series, and in game 1, Allen Iverson underperformed. He only had 16 points. It was 7 from 9 from the field on 36%. That's not good at all, especially for your star player. The Pacers won by 1 point, and the only reason why the 76ers was in this game was because of their defense. AI in the fourth quarter alone was 2 for 4 from the field and had a -8 ±. In game 2, he redeemed himself and scored 45 points. It was efficient from the field and had a game that many people forget the performance that he had in game 1. Then in game 3, he also had a good game, but he shot 38% from the field. Now, at this point in the video, I haven't mentioned one key point on Iverson, but I'll get to that later. Just remember all these field goal percentages I'm naming for right now. In the fourth quarter of this game, in game 3, he was 0 for 3 from the field. Then the final game of the series, it was only won by 3 points. Now, AI had good games points-wise, as he had 33 points, which is good. But it was also 32%, and in the fourth quarter, he went 2 from 5 from the field. Most of these games were close. As you can say, it was because of Allen Iverson's lack of offensive help, but also him chucking up shots and not scoring good in the fourth quarter caused these games to be closer than they should be. But I'll stand down and I'll leave it alone for later in this video. But they won this series. AI averaged 31.5 points, 6.5 assists on 41, 26, 79 splits. In the next series, they played the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Toronto Raptors were being led by a young star in Vince Carter. They finished as the first team in the Eastern Conference. Now in game 1, they lost by 3 points, and Allen Iverson had 36 points, which looks good, but it was only on 32%. In the fourth quarter of that game, he had 9 points, but was 2 from 9 from the field on 22%. He played amazing in game 2, as he had 54 points on 54% from the field. But in game 3, they got blown out, as they lost 78-102. In this game, AI had 3 points on 7 from 22 from the field on 31%, and 1 from 4 from a 3-point range, 25%. In game 4, AI had 30 points on 10 from 30 attempts from the field on 33%. In game 5, AI played an amazing game as he had 52 points. But in game 6, they lost 101 to 89, and it pushed the series to 7 games. AI in game 6 had 21 points on 6 from 24 attempts from the field on 25%. Then in game 7, he underperformed as well, but they still won't promote because of the defense. AI in this closeout game had 21 points on 8 from 27 from the field on 26%. Now a positive about AI in this game is he had 16 assists, which I give him his props for that. They beat the Raptors and was able to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. AI in this series averaged 33.7 points, 6.9 assists on 40, 43, 79 splits. Now the next team they played was the Milwaukee Bucks, as they was being coached by George Karl, and their best player was a young Ray Allen. They went into game 1 and came out with a victory. AI had 34 points in this game on 13 for 35 attempts on 37% from the field. But they lost the next game as AI underperformed again and only had 16 points on 5 from 26 from the field on 19%. In Game 3, he didn't play as he was away from the team, but in Game 4, he played and only had 28 points on 6 from 32 shooting on 31%. In Game 5, the Sixers only won by 1 point as AI underperformed again. He only had 15 points on 5 from 27 shooting on 18%. In Game 6, they lost, but AI had a good game as he had 46 points. Then they came back, and then on Game 7, he had another amazing performance. Now they're in the NBA Finals. AI averages for this series are 30.5 points, 6.8 assists on 34, 33, 78 splits. Now in the NBA Finals, they would have been against the unstoppable force in the West, and the LA Lakers, and they were being led by Shaquille O'Neal and the young Kobe Bryant. Now, the infamous game that everybody knows is Game 1 of the NBA Finals. AI had a terrific performance and one of the most infamous ones in NBA history. But after that Game 1 victory, they lost the rest of the series, and it was expected the Lakers team was expected to win as they went undefeated in the playoffs before the finals. Now, before I get to the rest of AI's career, this season is one of the reasons why I think it's overrated. Now, it's 3 reasons why I'm gonna go by them one by one. Now, the first reason why is because of the competition he played in the Eastern Conference. Now, from 2000 to 2005 is one of the worst stretches for the Eastern Conference. Now, I understand that the pace is slower and they're adjusted for more defensive-oriented play, but it does take the fact that it was only one 60-win team during this 5-year stretch, and that was the Pacers in the 03-04 season. Now, I provided a table here that shows all the Eastern Conference teams that made the playoffs during this 5-year stretch, and I split in 3 different categories: 60-win teams, 50-win teams, and 49 to 30-win teams that made the playoffs. Now, a lot of teams repeated, so I only put them once to make it more simple. But during this 5-year period, it was only one 60-win team, 9 50-win teams, and 29 49 through 30-win teams that made the playoffs. That is insane. 2 years in a row during this stretch, 2 39-win teams made the playoffs, and that shouldn't happen. Now, the talent was in the West, and it showed. I can show you that as well as the Western Conference table I'm showing you now. During this stretch, they had 4 60-win teams and 25 50-win teams, and only 10 49 through 30-win teams. Just way more talent in the West, and it was just very noticeable. Now let's talk about AI's best asset to the NBA floor, his score. Now, AI was an amazing scorer, not knocking him for that, but he was inefficient at it and also underperformed in the playoffs as well. Now, I provided another table so you can fully understand what I'm seeing. Now, let's start with percentages from each round, each game in every round. Now, there's no more for a superstar type player to jump in the playoffs, but it's usually 2 to 4%. So, league average at this point is 42%, so remember that, and I also provided a table as well. So, in round 1, the percentages are provided, which are 36%, 55%, 39%, and 32%. Now, as you can see, AI only had 2 games that were good percentages-wise. Now, that 55% game was amazing, and 39% game, I'll give my pass as well, as he's right there what I consider inefficient, which is 38% and below, by the way. So in round 1, he goes 2 from 4, with the 2 being him being efficient. So now in games, now round 2, he goes to 7 games, and it doesn't look too good for him, as you can see as well. He has 5 games of being inefficient that series alone. In game 3, he has 4 out of the 6 games he played being inefficient. In the finals, he only has 2 games of being inefficient out of 5. So if you want, so that's what it is. Now, if you want to make a thing for AI and you want to see an efficient superstar type player in his first run, I provided you Stephen Curry's run as his first one as a superstar type player. Now, the thing about it is, every player is going to have a bad game. I understand that, so I don't knock him for not having good games. But when you have so many bad games in the playoffs, I'm gonna knock you for it. The thing about AI is that he has 1 or 2 games in the series that make the percentages go high, but when you look individually in each game, it's not that high. Here's the percentages for every series in total. And for every series, he was inefficient. And for the entire playoff run, he was inefficient, which is 38%. Now, one more point, then wrap up this video. Now, in the fourth quarter, AI is not good. I provided percentages for each game, and some games stand out a lot to me as well. Like in Game 3 of the Pacers series, where he went 0% in the whole quarter. Game 1 of the Raptors series, where he went 22%. Game 6 versus the Raptors, where he went 60%, and also 60% against the Bucks in Game 2. That's just some of that stand out. You can see the table and see how the percentages are in each game for each series. Now, the reason why I pinpointed specifically on this season is because of how hyped it gets by fans. The rest of his career, he barely gets out of the first round. It showed. If you want to say because they have competent pieces, well, the Denver Nuggets had a competent team and still underperformed and barely could get out of the first round. I don't understand how people just big up AI like he's one of the best players of all time, and me saying that and you saying that he's top 20 because he isn't top 20 at all. I don't understand how have him top 20, seeing how he's the inefficient scorer and he also is underperforming in the playoffs. Now, this is the end of the first episode of the new series I call Overrated. In this series, we're deep diving into careers of players that I think are overrated by the NBA community, as I want to shed light and give context to some careers. You know, I'm not slandering videos, I'm not slandering these players, I'm not giving a bad name to these players. I think AI is an amazing scorer. If you put AI in the league now, he'll be way more efficient than he was. I think if you put more pieces around AI, he maybe would have won a championship. But that's the thing, you can't just say things about AI that aren't true. AI was an inefficient scorer, and AI also chucked up shots. And if you say that AI need a competent team, when he had a competent team and a Denver Nuggets team, he underperformed in the playoffs as well. This is a knock on AI. Every player isn't perfect. AI just wasn't a good player performer. He had good games. He had specific good games. He had in those series. But when you look at every individual game in totality, he didn't have a good series like that. That's just how AI. That's just how AI is. So this is the first episode of the new series called Overrated. We're gonna deep dive into NBA career. Like and subscribe for more of this series.